to start. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a deep dive into the new TLS enhancement feature that will be introduced in the upcoming R82 version. I'm excited to be hosting three of the brilliant R&D team members who are instrumental in developing the feature we are exploring today, Nasrat, Matan, and Hadi. Thank you guys for taking the time to share your expertise with us. However, guys, your work isn't quite done yet. We need to make sure the entire Checkmates community understand what to expect from R82 TLS and how to fully utilize the fantastic feature you have worked on so hard. So before we dive into the technical details, I would like to share a bit about what guided us on R82 roadmap and how we decided what feature to prioritize. So we focus heavily on feedback from our customers. Many of the customers told us that enabling HTTPS inspection cause high performance impact on their gateways. Others mentioned that it required ongoing maintenance, particularly with PIN certificate application. And some said they lacked of proper visibility. As a result, many organizations have chosen to skip HTTPS inspection altogether, compromising their overall security. And we took this feedback seriously and addressed these challenges. In a previous version, HTTP settings were split between Smart Console and Smart Dashboard. We have now consolidated it to all the settings into Smart Console. We also separate HTTPS inspection rules from outgoing and incoming traffic, making it easier to manage. One of the standard improvements is the seamless deployment option, which allow you to start by learning traffic patterns, estimate the impact, and providing recommendation before inspecting TLS in real time. Additionally, we have integrated automatic learning of pinned application from the Checkpoint cloud. And with over 30% of today's HTTP traffic running on HTTP3, we now support that too. And I think most importantly, we have significantly enhanced monitoring and logging for inspected traffic. With that, Matan, let's start with you. Let's start to explore the new interface. And please, guys, don't paste the questions on the chat. We have a dedicated section, the Q&A, so ask the question over there. The R&D guys will answer the questions over there, and if we will have time, we will answer them online. And all the questions, anyway, are going to be answered once I will post this recording on Checkmates. So I will put also all the questions and the answers from the R&D guys. So Matan, please share your screen and let's start.
Thank you very much, Shai. Let's start with the live demo.
So we are starting with the user interface, right?
Correct. Yes. First thing I want to show how the smart dashboard looks like in R81.20. So we have several advanced configuration of HTTPS inspection managed in the smart dashboard. Here we have the trusted CA package that used for validating the root CA of the server certificates. We have also advanced settings of HTTPS inspection, such as server-side fail mode, categorization mode, what to do when a certificate is untrusted, revoked, or expired, and more configurations. And we also have a configuration to add a certificate for inbound servers. So to get to this configuration in previous version, what we had to do is to go to the Manage and Settings, click on Blades, and here we had HTTPS inspection, and we could click on Configure in Smart Dashboard.
And then it's open a separate application for configuring all the HTTPS inspection. And now we merge everything into a Smart Console, right?
Right, exactly. Let me show you how it looks now. So here we have the same advanced settings as we saw before. We have it here in a new window. We kept most of the configuration, and we also add a new configuration for a new feature that we will present them shortly. So it's consolidated, it's all here. We have also dedicated view for the trusted CA package, and more than that, we have also the status of the package. Customer told us that they cannot control which version is installed and when was the last update. So here we can see that we are up to date, what version is installed, and that it was checked, and that from Download Center that we don't have a new package. So it's also a great feature. Yes, and we also have certificate management within the HTTPS inspection policy. So we get rid all of the configuration from the Smart Dashboard. And now I want to show you the new policy. Like before in R80 1.20, I don't have your Smart Console to show, but you have only one policy for inspection. And now we split it into two. By doing that, we can also have a dedicated view for certificate management. We can get rid of columns that are not needed. For example, here in the outbound policy, we don't need an inbound certificate. So we don't need that column. We removed it. And it's also opportunity to have a default outbound policy. We had a new rule to bypass finance, government, and health website for privacy matters. And yeah, so here we have.
Matan,
Yes.
sorry for stopping you. And I see that the outbound certificate now we support multiple certificate for outbound.
Yes,
right?
Right, exactly. So here, if we click on the outbound certificate, we can manage our outbound certificate and can have more than one. For example, if there is a company with two branches, one in Germany and one in the US, they can have two certificates for two different gateways and manage them easily here. Okay, we have also the inbound policy. Now it's empty, and we can also manage a certificate for inbound servers. Okay, so now let's proceed to the great visibility feature. I want to show you our new view integrated with Smart View. We'll click on all time. Okay, so in this view, you can see what's going on with the TLS traffic in your environment. It can be filtered per gateway. And now we can see here the controller of the TLS connection, how many connections are bypassed, how many inspected, top 20 bypass resources and top 20 inspected resources. And the most interesting in this view is the bypass reasons and also the drill down of the fail open. So here you can see the client-related failure. It's something fresh new in R82. Nasrat will explain about it shortly. And we have the traditional server-side fail mode. And here, for example, we have the bypass reasons. And the cool thing that we can double-click on it. So like we have bypass due to allow list match. I can double click on it. Then it opens a logs view and we can see we have upper side and lower side. So here, if I navigate through the logs in the upper side, just a second.
You're going to show all the correlated connection to this.
Exactly. I just want to make it more visible. So here we have in the upper side we have the session log. It group TLS connection with the same characteristics like source, destination, and if it was bypass, inspect, and for what reason. And then we can see below the connection logs. So for example, if I double click this log, I can see that this connection originates from a client which was classified as certificate pinned applications. The inspection was bypassed to allow connectivity. So this is also the new feature that Nasrat
Give you
going
more, and it gives you more visibility on what's going on. Before that, we didn't have this visibility, right?
Right. It's not something we had before, so we can see in high level the what is going on with the TLS traffic and for what reason we are bypassing. So for doing it, we had to introduce a new type of log in HTTPS inspection. It's called the session log. I will show you how it looks. So here in the global settings of HTTPS inspection, we have a session log, and it is enabled by default to send the session logs in order to provide the statistic to the view we show we seen before. Okay, so now let's proceed to the learning mode. Okay, so to enable HTTPS inspection, we have 3 steps, and we can see that here in step 1, it little bit change because of the support of multiple outbound certificate.
Yeah.
So we can override if we have a global certificate for all gateway and we want specific one for that gateway, we can use the override global setting and pick up another certificate.
Where is the global setting? Can you show where is the global setting?
Sure. It's here in the outbound policy. Click on the outbound certificate. And here we have a certificate, and you see it's written here default. So we can control, if we have few, we can decide which one of them it will be default for all the gateways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back to the gateway. Okay, and in step 3, we have a new feature. Why we added it? Because customer concerns to enable HTTPS inspection due to connectivity issue and performance impact. So we want to add an alternative way to do gradual deployment. What we do is we recommend in the policy to inspect everything and let our algorithm to run for 2 weeks and to estimate the connection success rate and the performance impact. What would be the impact as if we enable the full inspection to inspect everything. So we, as a customer, you only need to enable it. So we click OK. And
Matan, what is going to impact of enabling learning mode?
So the impact is you cannot rely on learning mode like you do full inspection. It inspects some of the traffic, up to 30%, and each time we take samples of the CPU and the connection success rate, and by doing that we can at the end share our final recommendation.
And you can build a prediction of what will be happen when you switch to full inspection, right?
Right, exactly. Let me show you how.
Does it also help you to build the policy?
Yes, like you can conclude that you have a problem with some client, for example, and then you can temporarily bypass it, and then you can step by step investigate why the client is problematic and to add the inspection to it gradually. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here we have also a new view named deployment. You can see in this view all the security gateways and what inspection is configured on them. In our example, we have one gateway in learning mode, and after 2 weeks, we get full deployment is recommended, and we get some statistics that the connection success rate at full deployment would be 100%. Yeah, it's not realistic example, but let's say it 95. And also the predicted CPU load at full deployment would be 45%, for example. And after you see that, you can decide to switch to full inspection, and you click it, and now it's in full inspection. This was the epi scenario, but in case we see that the connection success rate is not higher as expected, or we as concerns of performance, then we refer to some SK and say before enabling full inspection, see SK, and in that SK we will mention all the steps that should be done to mitigate it to allow you enable inspection fully.
Okay.
Yeah. I think yeah.
We cover all?
Yeah, I
setting
think
on your part?
I think all is covered, yes.
Okay, so thank you, Matan, and we'll continue with Nasrat.
Sure, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Matan. I'm Nasrat. I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen first. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about other features that would help with the connectivity issues when enabling HTTPS inspection. For those who are not familiar with, for example, certificate pinned applications, those are applications that have a specific certificate that they expect. And anytime an inspection would happen, the client application would detect that and simply choose to not go with the connection and throw it away and close the connection, which causes applications not to work properly and have connectivity issues. And it would basically impede the network in the enterprise.
Nasrat, can you explain a bit about PIN application and what are, for example, most common PIN application? I know that Microsoft Store and Netflix, right?
Exactly. There are pretty much very common certificate pinned applications today. Some of them you just mentioned, Microsoft Store, Netflix, Dropbox, many certificate pinned applications in the world. And the issue here is that those certificate pinned applications do not clearly state that. So it's pretty much an implementation detail of each application. And detecting them or putting them in a global list so everyone can know how to handle them is pretty much impossible. I'm going to show here, I'm going to start with showing what our current experience is with the R81.20. And after that, I'm going to show how we mitigate that issue and how we improve the situation with our new features. So the current user experience with R81.20 is as follows. I'm going to show a short video here just because certificate applications in general keep caching their keep caching their resources, and it would be a little bit hard to show in a live demo. So I'm going to show here some applications that we're going to try with inspection enabled on the network. And we can see here that the multiple applications would just simply fail to work properly or give unusable experience. For example,
So this
here,
is the Microsoft Store.
exactly. Microsoft Store wouldn't show any images, any logos, could refresh the page wouldn't help. It simply does not work. Dropbox, for example, it loads in offline mode, doesn't really do anything. Even if you try to refresh it, it doesn't really help.
So this is in case it's the gateway is inspecting HTTPS traffic, right?
Correct. This is what you would experience when you have R81.20 gateway with inspection enabled. We can see here the team viewer also does not show us the sign up.
It's not just R8020, it's all the previous version before that.
Yeah, exactly. Every gateway up until now does not really know how to handle certificate pinned applications. We just simply try to inspect them, and as a side effect, the inspection causes the connections to fail. We basically block the connections as a side effect. I'm gonna show here. I'm gonna speed up things. Netflix here just keeps loading. Does not really work. Does not show us anything useful. And let's jump to the log or the visibility we have. The visibility also is very bad. Basically, you would get inspection logs as usual because the logs are based on the rule-based execution. So each log is saying that, okay, we decided to inspect Netflix or Microsoft Store, but it does not really show you if the inspection worked or not. It's just the intention to inspect. So minimal visibility currently we have about such issues, and it's pretty much very hard to deal with such things. And to solve the issue, to solve the bad connectivity and bad visibility, we have introduced various features that we can help in various ways. A very important thing here to say is that we basically changed our mindset to be try to inspect only the things we think we can inspect, and anything we think we cannot inspect, we should bypass. And if the admin wants that to be blocked anyway, it should not be blocked as a side effect of us trying to inspect. It just would cause performance issues and connectivity issues, undefined connectivity issues. Anything that should be blocked by the access policy. The HTTPS inspection blade should bypass anything that it does not know how to inspect. I'm going to show here the first feature, which is the client-side fail open, and how it would help with the connectivity issues. Let's first show how to enable that feature. It can be enabled from the gateway editor, from the HTTPS inspection window. You can see here under additional settings, there is first of all, you can see the current settings for each of the features below: server-side failopen, client-side failopen, and bypass underload. You can see the current status, and by clicking on edit, you can see here and modify the current behavior of the gateway. By default, on new gateways, you would get fail open on the client side as well. So now you would have fail mode or fail open potentially on both sides of the connection. As previously we had only server-side fail mode. Here you can either use the global setting, which you can change from the advanced settings of HTTPS inspection. I'm going to show in a second. Or
so just to make sure that everyone understands, for the certificate pinning, we are talking about client-side fail mode.
Yes, client-side fail mode is one of the features that would help to mitigate connectivity issues caused by certificate pinned applications or any other connectivity issue coming from the client side. This is not specific to certificate pinned applications. This is a more general feature that would help identify any issues on the client side and give them bypass when needed.
Mhm.
Okay, so over here you can either use the global settings, which is currently fail open, or you can here use a custom settings for this specific gateway and choose fail close if needed. Currently, I'm gonna leave the default settings. We can go over to the additional advanced settings and see how we can modify that per on a global scale. If you open the advanced settings, the first window you're gonna see is the fail mode, and here you can see the client-side fail mode, which gives either bypass or block based on the choice. It's important to say here, it's marked as block or requests. It is not actually block. It just simply keeps inspecting, and as a side effect of the inspection, multiple or many connections would be blocked on the way. So this is a block, but it's not explicit. It's just a side effect of the inspection attempt. So this is very important to know. Okay, how would client-side fail mode help us? Basically, anytime I'm gonna go back to show the experience with the client-side fail open. So anytime client application would fail, so basically the connection between the client and the gateway, anytime a failure happens there, the gateway would remember that, and basically for the next time, for the next attempt, the gateway will cause that connection to be bypassed based on matching on previous failures. So we can expect here that any applications that fails on because of a certificate pin duplication or any other issues between the client and the gateway, the first connection would simply fail, and the second connection and onward, it would succeed and work without issues as it should be bypassed anyway. So let's see here how the user experience is with the client side fail open enabled. Okay, let's go to the Microsoft Store. We can see here that it will successfully load the images. It just took a few attempts. It has a small delay here. You can see here things are much better now. Things seem to work, even if they have, for example, a little bit of issues. On the second attempt, things typically start to work without problems. Here you can see the first get attempt failed, but the second one simply worked because the gateway detected an issue and marked that connection for bypass. We can also jump to Dropbox. The application loaded in offline mode because the first one or two connections would fail, and after trying to refresh, things would go back to normal as the connections would be detected and bypassed on later attempts. This is the same also for TeamViewer and Netflix. Basically, we can see usability or connectivity improvement across the board for all pinned applications. The exact behavioral change is depending on the application itself, but you see my point. Let's go to see the visibility changes. First of all, you can see how we can. One moment here. You can see how we now see multiple inspections, but also some bypasses because some of the connections we try to inspect, and we can detect that there is an issue with the Netflix resources and stuff like that. And for the later attempt, you can see here that they are automatically bypassed with the proper bypass reason and a description of why that bypassed and what can be done about that specific connection. You can see here that oh, I'm sorry, I just skipped. You can see here that the action was bypassed. Here's the reason why it was bypassed, because we think this connection failed previously on the same gateway, and it should be bypassed to allow connectivity. This can be changed by disabling the client-side fail open if needed. Here's the description: HTTPS inspection, client-side fail open. So basically, we can see across the board some visibility improvements as well by enabling client-side fail open. Another thing which you need to know is that this feature solely works on local data. So the gateway over time would detect more failing connections and would give more bypasses to failing applications. And this is a 100% local way of detecting and changing the policy as needed. And should be a very early stage of mitigation, a very early stage of protection. Another stage would be another feature that we have, which is, I'm going to show you now, our in advanced settings, you can go and enter the bypass allow list. Here you can see the already available well-known update services. This is the bypass, the allow list of known software update services that you all probably know already. And we have added a new allow list, which is an allow list that contains known certificate pinned applications. This allow list would be also updated just like the services one, updated by checkpoint and provided to all customers. Here you can either choose to bypass and bypass any connection that would be matched on one of the known certificate pinned applications, or you can simply detect and get a log that a certain connection matches one of our pinned applications. You should probably either block it or bypass it as needed, or you can disable it completely and choose none, not to search for certificate pinned applications to begin with. And this feature would allow us to bypass and detect certificate pinned applications from the first attempt. Unlike the client-side fail mode, where we need to experience the failure before, here we don't need to experience any failure. We already know how to detect that specific application and bypass it automatically. So this would give a much better and seamless experience, because there is no failure needed to learn, but it's already all the info is already provided by the Checkpoint Cloud package. So let's see here how that would improve our usability. Okay, this is the user experience with the bypass allow list of the certificate pinned applications. Let's see here how that would differ. Opening first the Microsoft Store again, we can see here that obviously all the wallpapers and icons load seamlessly. And on our download attempt, it should also work from the first time. We can see here how the first attempt of downloading that application worked without issues. We don't need to refresh the application or cause it to attempt downloading resources multiple times. Here we can see a very good example also of that is that Dropbox already loaded in online mode. It didn't need to load in offline mode and require a refresh bias to be able to work. It just worked without issues because it's already inside the certificate pinned application allow list. So basically, this is a very seamless and much better experience overall in terms of connectivity. You can see here Netflix would also work as well. It shows us the wallpaper, the get started and sign in buttons, and to show the visibility of that feature, I'm going to show here one of the one of the connection logs, and you can see here is that any connection that would match one of our known certificate pinned application would be bypassed with the appropriate reason. And you can also see that from the smart event dashboard that Matan showed earlier. And another
Nasat, I want to stop you for a moment just to make sure that all of us in the same page and we understand how to use this feature. And I want to take you to best practice. So what would be, and you spoke before, you mentioned that you need to work in conjunction with the access policy. Not just, so if you want to, for example, to block a few applications, but you want to bypass all the other. For example, if you want to block access to Dropbox, but you want to allow access to Netflix and not
yes. So basically, what we would recommend is that when enabling client-side file open or the certificate pinned application allow list, is that anytime you would want to block a specific application, is not to disable those features, but rather to block it from the access policy. Because the HTTPS inspection blade should not act as a mini access policy, it should not cause any connections to be blocked. We either allow connections we don't know how to inspect to go through with bypass, or if we think we can inspect them, we will inspect them. But we shouldn't be the main point where we block connections as a side effect. So anytime an admin would choose to not allow a specific application in his network, he can seamlessly block it in the access policy as he probably knows how to do so. Another thing I want to point out is that those features, the client-side file open and the certificate pinned application allow list, those features know how to differentiate between applications on the same host, which means that if someone in the network tried to open Dropbox and it fails for him, and the client-side file open chooses to give him a bypass, that bypass would be limited to that Dropbox application. If the same client, if the same user tries to open Dropbox from the browser, in most cases, it will be inspected and not bypassed. Even if the same resource, which is Dropbox.com, for example, was bypassed from the pinned application, it should not be bypassed from the browser because the browser has the ability to receive inspection, unlike the certificate pinned application. So this is a very strong capability, which would allow the gateway to provide a maximum security and maximum inspection rate. So those features are designed to give minimal bypasses and scoped bypasses, and not just throwaway bypasses to anyone in the enterprise. For example, if one user uses Dropbox and it fails for him and he gets bypassed, that wouldn't cause a large bypass across the whole network. Other people would also need to prove that they don't know how to receive inspection in order to get that bypass. Okay. So
I want to just again to make sure I understand, if you are not using with the predefined list and or you just use with none or detect mode, and
let's go back to that. Yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, so if you don't work with certificate pinned application, let's say you don't click bypass, you click none or detect.
Okay.
So, and you are working with a fail open mode. So let's for example, say that the user open Netflix. On the first connection, it fails. On the second connection, it will be fine, right? It will work for him.
Correct. That feature.
But what will happen, let's say that he closes his computer, he open it again the day after.
It depends. He can, the client-side fail open feature remembers the connections for a different amount of time depending on the use case. So a really common connection would get remembered for a longer period of time. If it's a one-time thing, it will be remembered only for a few minutes. But if the user had needed to use that Dropbox connection many times throughout the day, it can be remembered for longer periods of time, up to, I think, up to 1 day or 2 days even. So it depends on the usage of that connection.
Let's say that you want always to allow a bypass Netflix. You just need to add it to the policy, to the outgoing policy.
Exactly.
To bypass.
If the admin needs a permanent bypass and the permanent connectivity to a certain application, he should also add it to the rule base of HTTPS inspection to be bypassed, as he would do to any other service or website. So
and what is the setting? What is the setting when you detect perform the following action? You have the bypass, you have detect, and you have none. What is none?
None, just we wouldn't match any connection for the certificate pinned application. We won't detect it, and we won't send the log about it. We won't bypass it. We won't do anything about that connection, even if it's a certificate pinned application. For suspicious admins and more concerned admins, I would recommend that they use at least detect, and that way it would show them the problematic known applications in their network without giving bypass. It would still try to inspect, and possibly it will cause connectivity issues, but at least they can know about it and get a log that, okay, we think that this inspected connection is a certificate pinned application and it would probably not work. This is us warning you that you should do something about it, maybe either to block it if you don't want it, or to allow it to add it to the bypass rule base in case you do need to allow it.
Cool. So this is a new visibility that we get in this version.
Exactly. This package would be maintained and updated regularly by Checkpoint services, just like we maintain and update the known software update services. This would be filled by experiences and issues from gateways around the world who have diagnostics enabled. So if a new pinned application is released in a few days, it would be shown in multiple networks, and it would cause issues in multiple networks, and by that we can collect the required statistics and add it to our certificate pinned application.
Okay, nice.
Okay, and the last feature I'm gonna show is a feature that should help with the performance spikes and CPU usage spikes, which is a feature called bypass underload. Bypass underload is a feature that can be enabled from the HTTPS inspection window in the gateway editor. This is a per gateway setting. It cannot be enabled or disabled in a global scale. So under the additional settings, you can see here bypass underload. It's currently enabled. By default, it's disabled. So you would need to get to the edit window and enable it if you want. This feature is designed to detect any CPU spike and cause the HTTPS inspection blade to stop inspecting until that CPU spike goes down below a certain threshold. And thus, it would guarantee that any time there is a CPU or a traffic spike, the gateway would not become too much overloaded and lose connectivity and cause connections to drop. Let's see
and
how
we are going to release an SK that will explain exactly how to edit this threshold, right?
Yes, this for advanced customers, for advanced admins, the thresholds for getting into the bypass mode and going out of the bypass mode are configurable. We do think that we give a good default values. So by default, you shouldn't need to modify anything. But for users who do need to modify and need to know more about that feature, it's also possible. More details will be in the SK, of course. Okay, let's see how that would work. You can see here my gateway that I'm gonna add some load to it. So let's see, for example. Okay, you can see here the current status of the bypass underload feature. We currently can see that it is enabled. We're currently not underload. There is no high load currently on the gateway. We are currently not in bypass mode. So everything is good and perfect right now. This is the CPU threshold and the memory threshold that we use currently. Let's enable some load on the gateway and see how that would do. You can see here that instantly, when we are currently under load, we instantly entered into bypass mode. So just to keep the CPU usage a little bit low to reduce load on the gateway. And we will keep in bypass mode while we are above the threshold, the relevant threshold. And if we disable the load, we can see here that we are currently not under load, but we are still in bypass. This is a grace period that we allow for the gateway to make sure that the spike is ended and to prevent going back and forth between bypass and not bypass and cause some issues. So we have a grace period in place. If you if you still see that the bypass underload gets into bypass and goes out to bypass very in high rate across the day, it's probably a sign that the gateway is a little bit smaller than needed, and some more firewall capacity would be required for the blade to work properly. This probably can be detected by learning mode if it was enabled. Okay, this is the experience we see.
And Nasrat, where do I see notification about this moving from?
Exactly. So I don't expect admins to keep watching the status from the CLI. This can be seen from I'm gonna in a minute. We can see here from the logs is that if we open the logs of the from the smart console, we should see uh, we should see in we should see logs saying that a heavy load was detected, inspection will be bypassed. This is because of the bypass underload feature. This is basically saying, okay, I'm stopping inspection for now. There is too much load on the gateway, either by CPU or memory. And also another detect log would be heavy load is no longer detected. The CPU spike is gone. Now we can resume inspection as usual.
I think we're done, right, with the feature
Yeah,
that you.
I showed all the features I wanted to show.
Nasrat, thank you very much. We will switch to Hi. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Nasrat. So yeah, we'll take the
So
share.
Adi,
Hi, all.
yes, Adi. So Adi is going to speak about quick HTTP3.
Yeah. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in R82, we added support for HTTP3 inspection. Before we dive into the details, let's first take a look at an overview of HTTP3. So just a moment. Yeah. So HTTP3 is a new protocol built on Quick. It's designed for a faster and more secure connections. Like connections can be established in as little as 1 round trip compared to 3 round trips for TCP.
Basically, it's based on UDP, right? It's not really on TCP anymore.
Yeah, Quick is based on UDP. And it has enhanced congestion control. It is multiplexed, so it allows multiple streams to be multiplexed over a single connection. This can improve performance for applications that uses multiple connections. And it uses header compression to reduce the size of HTTP headers, which can also improve performance. As of now, about 1/3 of all websites uses HTTP3, and this number has been steadily increasing as more and more companies adopt to HTTP3. Okay, so about the HTTP3 inspection, the feature is enabled by default as Quick service is now part of HTTPS default services.
On R82.
In R82, yeah. And categorize HTTPS websites is also enabled by default. This allows us to categorize websites for bypass traffics. And the outbound and the inbound inspection is also supported. And in terms of gateway, it has the same functionalities as in HTTP2. So supported versions and limitations. First of all, it will be supported in R82 and above. There is no plan to support it in earlier versions. It is supported on security gateways, cluster, basics, and Maestro, of course. In terms of limitations, it is supported only on user mode firewall. The feature is not working in kernel mode, and in R82 and above, such traffic that should be inspected will be simply dropped, and a log will be displayed.
Can you explain more about this limitation, the user mode, the VS kernel mode?
Yeah, like we have 2 modes for the gateway to run on. The feature quick HTTP3 inspection will only run in user mode, and for kernel mode we will simply, if of course HTTPS inspection is enabled and we are matched on Quick, we will simply drop such traffic in kernel mode. Now, for earlier versions, this logic does not exist, and for earlier versions, we recommend to drop a quick service or even drop a quick application using application control blade. Okay.
So the deep inspection is not supported yet. So what about IPS, antivirus? All those blades are not supported?
No, they are supported, but if they are configured, if antivirus, for example, IPS does not have deep inspection, but if antivirus, for example, is configured to work on the connection with deep inspection, then the traffic will be dropped also by default. We have plans to support it in next jumbos for RET2. It's soon.
Okay.
Yeah. As well, content awareness blade is not supported yet, and it should be supported in first jumbo, I believe.
So
Okay.
when you say the connection is dropped, so the user is not going to get the application, right?
Yeah, and by default, browsers will simply initiate a new connection over an earlier version of HTTP.
So this is
Like-
important to say. So it's not that the user is not going. It's going to do downgrade to TLS1, to TLS1.2, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we have also created an SK for Quick. All that info is also on that SK.
Is released already?
It's not. It's an internal SK. It will be released soon.
Okay.
Okay. So now we will go over a few examples. We have like this access policy. It has the first rule with custom applications that has the Cloudflare domain. It's on accept. Second rule is Facebook on drop and the redirect to block page. And the third rule is any accept. This rule base is only for demonstration. Regarding HTTPS outbound policy, we have one rule for specific client to be bypassed, and the second rule for any traffic to be inspected. So the next slides will show us a connection that should be inspected. So as you can see, we have a connection to Cloudflare. The certificate of that connection that is used in that connection is the HTTPS inspection certificate. We can see that the traffic went over HTTP3. So it's like an inspected connection. And here is a log for that connection. As you can see, we've been matched on the first rule on the custom application. Action is inspect. We have the application, accounting details, and everything. Here is another connection to Facebook. If you
So this
remember,
is on the second rule. This is the second rule for the redirect.
Exactly, yeah. If you remember, Facebook was on redirect to block page. So as you can see, the connection, Facebook was matched, and we have created a redirect response. You can see that the connection went over HTTP3, and we have HTTP redirect status code. Okay, and this is the log for it. As you can see, we have application name Facebook, everything regarding Facebook. And we have also the user check incident, and it says that there is a block message redirect. Action is also inspect. Now I will show also an example of bypass traffic. The next connections should be matched on bypass in HTTPS policy. So as you can see, a connection to Cloudflare was opened over HTTP3. Certificate is Cloudflare certificate. It's not the HTTPS inspection certificate. And we have also match on the first rule on Cloudflare. This is related to the categorize websites feature, which works on bypass traffic. And also, as you can see, the action is also bypass here. And here is another connection to Facebook. The action is bypass. And as you can see, the connection was rejected. We can't redirect in that case because the connection is not inspected. It's bypassed. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. So let's jump into, we have many questions, so we are not going to cover all of them because we are on the top of the hour. So I will just pick a few questions, and guys, let's try to answer them. And I'm going to take all of those answers, and the guys are going to answer them, and I will upload them to the Checkmates post. So there is a question if we can use wildcard certificate for multiple servers. So this is for inbound. Matan, Nasrat, who wants to take this?
Nasrat, Adi, do you know?
What's the question again?
There is a question if we can use a wildcard certificate for multiple servers. So import a wildcard certificate for inbound inspection instead of...
As far as I know, this is already supported when using a global certificate. This should be available.
You see, there is another question. If we enable the session log feature, what is going to be the impact to the log size?
So we made a performance test with session logs, and we saw that the impact of having session logs is very nearly zero in terms of logs in the disk, and also the performance of the CPU usage.
Okay. There is a question if our gateway CPU usage reached 90% while running CP SeisMe for 48 hours with HTTPS inspection disabled. Should we consider replacing it with a gateway that has a double or more capacity? Should the learning mode be compatible with our gateway? So again, if the gateway CPU usage reached 90% while running CP SeisMe for 48 hours with HTTP inspection disabled. So I guess, yes. So if Matan and...
Yeah, like we don't know what is run over the gateway, so we just take our measurements and then we share our recommendations. So if by real traffic or by some traffic generator we would have high load, then we can get samples of many samples of high load, and then we can recommend not to enable full inspection due to high load.
But anyway, I think that gateway that is running in 90% for 48 hours without HTTPS inspection is not going to handle HTTPS inspection, right?
Right. Yeah, it's not realistic to, yes.
Will there be any limitation in SSL TLS inspection in respect to VS6 and virtual gateways?
Nasrat, do you have any limitation with the bypass features? I think no.
With VS6 or virtual gateways?
Nasrat, you are in mute, and also maybe Hadi, can you refer the quick?
I'm not sure there is a specific limitations to V6 or virtual gateways.
So the answer is no.
There is no.
So yes, the answer is no.
Okay. Are there any CPU measurement statistics when full TLS inspection is enabled?
Again?
Are there any CPU measurement statistics when full TLS inspection is enabled?
I think we have. No, I think we haven't. Nasrat?
No, I don't think so. Learning mode, only when learning mode is enabled would make some statistics about the CPU, specifically by features under HTTPS inspection. Some other features like CPU and other tools might provide CPU measurements regardless of TLS inspection.
There's a question if we can go back to learning mode. So if you will in full inspection, can you go back to learning mode?
Yes, you can always go back to learning mode. Just need to think if it is the right decision. Because
what do you mean by that?
I mean, like if we already in full inspection and everything works fine, then why to do it? But if we have many issues and we have to get another recommendation, yeah.
They can alternatively use the other features like the client-side fail open, the pinned application whitelist, or the bypass underload to mitigate some small issues they already have. But if they got to a stage where full inspection is enabled and they can already live with that, it's a waste of time to go to learning mode to do everything from the beginning.
Mhm. Does all of those features supported on Maestro?
Should be, but I think in learning mode we have like we can't estimate because the traffic is not well balanced. We cannot control how much TLS traffic it will reach to each entity. So,
But all the rest of the features are supported, like quick and the logs and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on top of the hour. It's 12:03 now. So again, I'm going to upload this recording by the end of the day, and also the guys will answer all the questions, and I see many of them, like more than 80 questions. So I'm going to upload them also by the end of the week. So guys, thank you very much, and thank you for all the attendees. And we have another session tonight at 7. So if you want to join again to another session, you are more than welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Bye.